Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. My name is Kartik, one of the co-founders of ETH Global, and I am super excited to welcome all of you to the Hack FEVM Finale. Thank you so much for your patience. This one took a long time. We had people from 70 different countries, so we're coordinating a lot of things with, but here we are, and thank you for joining us on ethglobal.tv. Everybody who is going to be on this chat, you get to ask questions, comment on things, and we'll be able to look at it. And then we'll also be giving out POAPs for everybody that participated on this live stream. So this hackathon is brought to you by ETH Global, and our goal is to onboard thousands of developers into the Web3 ecosystem. And we do this primarily by running hackathons and summits. And this weekend was no different. This was our last online event for this year. And we started this off by running an amazing summit that had so many technical talks on how the FEM is set up and what's coming. And then immediately after that, we followed with the hackathon. And this was one of our most interesting hackathons yet, and also the biggest and the first ever FEVM hackathon. So just to recap how the last 48 hours went, we had 400 hackers from 70 different countries participating, spanning 19 time zones, and they all spent the last 48 hours working on really interesting projects that leverage the Filecoin Virtual Machine, and we're going to see some of those demos here today. And kind of just to give some more visual context, people came from so many different parts of the world, and it's just still impressively amazing to me that we get participants from 6 different continents at these events. So thank you so much for staying at odd hours and working on cool things that you were excited about, and hopefully also being some of the prize recipients today. And we had 22 amazing mentors who were there helping everybody get unblocked for all these projects. So today is the conclusion. In the next hour, we're going to cover a lot of interesting things, including who won all these prizes. And we had 117 projects that got submitted. This is absolutely crazy because this was the first time people got to use FEM at scale, and also just to be the guinea pigs to understand how the platform actually would work. And the entire Protocol Labs team was absolutely blown away by this. And we spent the last few hours looking at all these projects, talking to these teams, giving feedback, and choosing some of the teams that we're going to bring on for a demo. I want to give a big shout out to the IPFS and Filecoin teams for really being the MVP for this entire weekend. They were there answering all the amazing questions, making sure that everybody understood what they can and can't do, and more importantly, just giving the right feedback and helping people actually on board and get more help even after this hackathon. So let's get back to these 117 submissions. We got to these projects about 5 hours ago, and then the last 4 hours were spent talking to all these teams in parallel. And through all those chats, our judges came up with 9 finalists. We're going to bring these teams on. They're going to talk about what they built. They're going to show you a demo of what they built. And then we're going to go into all the prizes. So without further ado, here are our 9 finalists: Soulmates, Koios, Data Market, zkSig NFTs, Catalog DAO, Soulshare Wallet, SPN DAO, CredLancer, and FIL Peggy. Congratulations to these 9 teams. They are the first and some of the really amazing use cases of FEVM and just being on FVM. And we're going to bring these teams on one by one, and they're going to show you what they built so all of you can see and check it out. A lot of them are also usable for all of you immediately after this, so we'll kind of go into that too. And before we kind of bring this on, I want to take a second to kind of really thank the 108 teams listed here. Just because you were not one of those 9 teams does not mean you were not good enough or there was something wrong with what you built. We were able to just only showcase a handful of these projects, and our goal is to really kind of highlight and bubble up some interesting ideas. And we really encourage all of you to continue working on this project beyond just this weekend. There is a whole program available for you to kind of continue this as part of a bootcamp and next steps. There is funding and grants available. You can ping any of us on the ETH Global team for any help or connections that you need to talk to anybody in the space. I want to make sure that you're there to kind of continue building on this thing, and want to make sure that we can help you get there. So please, please, please continue building these things, because what you're excited about is what the world will be excited about in 6 months from now. All right. And of course, for all of you who want to find out about specifics, each of these projects, you can see all of these things now on ethglobal.com/showcase. You can browse all 117 of these teams, see some videos to demos to screenshots to live websites and play with everything that came out of this weekend. All right, enough of me talking. Let's start with our first demo. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first team, Soulmates. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Let's get started.
Awesome. All right. So our project is Soulmates, and we became a little bit closer to Soulmates ourselves throughout the course of this weekend. And the project, Soulmates, is a soulbound token issuance engine that's built on FEVM. We decided to build this project because we know that soulbound tokens are an extremely important on-chain primitive for many critical use cases, especially as the narrative around decentralized identity and reputation has become increasingly important in the Web3 space over the last year. We also wanted to build something that we knew would be an important primitive and would be useful on FEVM and FEM day one, and that could support a number of the really amazing use cases that people were excited to build in this hackathon and beyond. To briefly touch on what we built a set of smart contracts. There were 17 files in total that touch on a number of different constructs, which Carson is going to show a little demo of and also talk about in a bit. We also built a front-end application for our contracts to interact with them, and also some additional Figma demos for how you might think about interacting with soulbound tokens at the application layer down the road. We wanted to make sure that we were focused in this hackathon and building something that was a really flexible and usable substrate, really focusing on the primitive layer. And we aligned on kind of a core flow that all of the soulbound tokens, which are sort of issued through the Soulmates protocol, sort of fall into. And there are these three steps: first, creating tokens; second, assigning tokens to other addresses, and that's kind of the first sort of assignment or transfer moment. And then after that, those tokens are no longer transferable. And then claiming the tokens that have been issued to you, if relevant, according to the rules that were set in place when those tokens were originally created. And now Carson's going to give us a demo of how this all works.
All right, thank you for that. So this is our website. So we have this web app that was made with Next.js, WAGMI, along with other technologies we'll touch upon later. So first step, you have to connect your wallet and make sure that you are on the Wallaby testnet and you have some funds from the faucet. So we go to create if we want to create our first collection. And here we have a number of factories to choose from. Each one of these factories will have slightly different rules. For this demo, we're going to talk about the deal factory. So we set up the metadata we want, like a picture of this laptop case. This is the cool laptop token, for example. And then we create. Because this is a deal factory, what makes that unique is that the only people who can use this factory to create collections have to be the client of an active deal within the Filecoin on-chain API. So first step, we have to store the files to IPFS. And then for the sake of the testnet here, we're going to be prompted to create a deal with Filecoin, basically injecting into the mock API. After that, we can now deploy our collection. And this will take a little bit of time. So we're going to skip past that and go to the next tab, Assign. So once a collection is on chain and finalized, you'll be able to see the ones you've deployed over here. So if you want to assign a token to somebody, for example, this one, you have to, you click on the card, and then you can assign it to any valid Ethereum address. And we assign just like that. Different factories might have different rules about this, but we'll get into those later. So now I'm assigning. In the pending tab, you can see all the assignments you've made. If it says assigned, you know that the token is in their wallet. Whereas if it says pending, it hasn't yet been claimed. And I've sent this to myself, so you can see that there. If we go to the claim tab, you can see the previous tokens I've claimed. And these are the ones available to claim. See, that matches the pending. And now I can click on this card and click claim. And that is the full flow. And now if we go back to assign, you can see a card has been created for the cool laptop data, and the IPFS hash came in. So that was our first transaction. It's all the way through. So that concludes our demo. Now back to the presentation. Oh, So the underlying contract architecture looks like the above. We're just going to focus on these 3 highlighted ones really quickly, because these are the ones that actually integrate with the Filecoin market API. Deal Factory was what we talked about in the demo. And then in the demerit factory, we have this expired deal. This is a type of soulbound token that you can issue to people, and rather than them claim it, it's automatically claimed by the system if they violate a demerit policy. So the example we had here is if the person has an expired deal, bam, they'll be punished with this this demerit for it. So this is an example of what a demerit factory would look like. All of our factories have a create collection function that everybody can call. What makes the demerit factory unique is that we really tried to modularize it to make it reusable for multiple types of demerits. So you can just register a demerit through the register. And then when you call create collection, there's a demerit proper variable that you pass in to choose which demerit you want associated with that token. And this is briefly our front-end architecture. We built it using Next.js for the front end, WAGMI for the wallet integration and reading from the contracts, NFT storage for the IPFS storage, and ethers for the contracts interactions.
Awesome. And briefly to just touch on, how the solution is different than more, standard SBT protocols. One of the things that FEVM and FEM really enabled for us was the ability to leverage Filecoin deal data in how we thought about issuing SBTs programmatically, and also the example that Carson mentioned as well, being able to issue tokens against the deal factory required this verification step that you actually were the owner or the client on the storage deal. So there's some nuances there to working with Filecoin. These are some examples of applications we had thought of how you might be able to use these in practice. So this one is storage provider reputation. The next is support for under collateralized lending protocols that might be built on Filecoin in the future. We also thought about education credentials and how these might look as well. We won't have time to play this, I think, but yeah. And then also thought about a number of different ways we could extend this in the future. And this was kudos to our amazing team. Thank you.
Amazing. That was that's a lot that you did in 2 days. I hope this becomes more than just a hackathon demo. This is really cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, we are ready for our second demo. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Koyos.
Hi everyone. I am Koyos, a solo hacker here. I'll share my screen. What I created was sort of a 3-part demo. One is what I really thought about was data DAOs. And data DAOs are one thing that FEVM is making extremely interesting, because you can put data sets on chain, but also interact with them through algorithms or download them. But one thing I'm interested in is always on the consumer side. So it's great to have all of these DAOs, but what other types of DAOs can we have to have really consumer adoption? So the first step is creating a DAO. And so investment DAOs obviously is what a lot of people think about, but also research DAOs are another thing. Imagine if you can have a professor in Chicago coordinating with professors all around the world, in South Africa and China, sort of working together from that same data set, creating algorithms, things like that, and maybe working on the commercial side with people who create algorithms. I also thought about gaming and sports DAOs. I'll show one a little bit later from Clash of Clans, but there's a ton of information that's needed in gaming and for professional sports that people use to sort of win championships. So how will this improve gaming in the future? I think that'll be an interesting set of DAOs. Another one that very few people think about when we think about blockchain, but is huge, will be hugely important in the next 5 to 10 years, is in real life retail. Imagine if a retailer in New York could get data and use data from Shanghai without actually having to go through a large organization. It's very decentralized. All they have to do is join a DAO. And lastly, philanthropic. So this isn't the only things that you can do, but these were sort of 4 or 5 categories that I thought of at this moment of like some great DAOs that you can create through this app. And so next we'll look at our marketplace. So the idea here is there's no DAOs currently on the Wallaby testnet, but by February, I'm told, actually, we might be the first, and I think there's a few others. So they'll be seen here. But we also want to showcase some of the verified data DAOs. So if you're just happen to be coming to here, you don't know what DAO to join, maybe you're interested in this one, then this is live, so I won't push a lot of things here. But let's look at this DAO here. So this is sort of traditional, where you'll be able to, make proposals. You'll be able to look at the vault, see how much, money is in the vault, who their members are, XYZ, change some of the settings. I think one of the interesting things, and this is sort of point 2 in this presentation, that we're really going to improve upon, hopefully with all 117 hackers a part of this, is that for each DAO, we want to create sort of an app store, where if you have an interesting project or an app that might be usable by a DAO, we want to create an interface, and this will be interesting if someone creates this next, where we can sort of place this here, if you're doing Discord modification notifications or something like that, that we could add here. So then the DAO managers and owners don't have to think and have to build their own tech. They can sort of use tech that's being built through these hackathons and install it in their DAO. And then the second part of the DAO, this is sort of the traditional part of the DAO, both DAO and the App Store. The second large part of the DAO is what happens with the public data. So, what happens with data, because you are a data DAO. And so what we like, and the reason why I switched over to this, is that we want each data section of every data DAO to be its sort of own website for obviously the purposes of privacy, GDPR, XYZ. Currently, I'm going to create this, the Coils Public Data DAO, where I'll take public data from different governments around the world and sort of put them together and see what interesting things we can find out. It doesn't exist here, but once I start uploading some data sets to that DAO on FEVM in February, it'll start showing up here with which data sets I actually created, which ones I saved that I'm looking at, and which ones I own. But before then, let's look at some of the DAOs that already exist. Oh, I'll click on this Clash of Clans one. That already have some funding. It should give me an error because I'm on Wallaby testnet and not Polygon. Should happen at some point soon, but yep, there we go. And then, so what you see here is tons of the data about the DAOs, what type of DAO it is, what labels they have. You get to see some of the pictures, some of the conflicting data. So before you buy it, and this is on the public side, you'll be able to look at a lot of the different use cases, XYZ. So let's now go to the last part, which is within your DAO, how do you create data? And so what we thought about, we isn't me, thought about for Coils, but I'm thinking ahead of time, is what we'll do is each data piece will become its own NFT, and then that NFT will create tokens that people could buy to access the data. So let's say if I was creating one here, I could go through, call it like US Fortune 500 data, the coolest info about the largest companies. And then I can put me, and then I'll tag it as finance. And we have a few things there, terms and conditions. And then I can keep going, and so on and so on. This is the most interesting part I wanted to get to here, because what happens is at the last page, I created the metadata. Here, I actually create the token. I say if it can be downloaded or computed. I actually put in the file. I'm going to go back for a second because this is live. Not only can you do a data set, but you can also create an algorithm. And I think this is actually a huge part of data DAOs coming on the FEVM network, is not only can you just see data sets, but maybe you have a data set, but you don't have an algorithm, or you don't have a computation or some formula. You can purchase someone else's to use. And lastly, sort of pricing and things like that. The last thing I'll show before I get off, because I think it's already been 5 minutes, is in the beginning, when we're looking at these data sets up here, this is all live. These are all the networks. I happen to be on Wallaby. As I sort of take these away, you'll start to see everything change. So this really shows how this can be sort of cross-network, cross-chain, but able to have all of these DAOs sort of working together. So we're both a DAO marketplace, an app store for data DAOs, and then like the actual data set and algorithm marketplace. So thank you. That's Kaios.
Amazing. That was I mean, that was a lot of stuff. I'm still 2 for 2, super impressed with how much people can do in 48 hours. This was really cool. I think we have a pretty active theme here for the rest of the demos on just leveraging data DAOs. So seeing this massive aggregation and factory makes it a lot more easier to work with. All right, time for our third demo for today. So please welcome Chris from Data Market.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Chris, and for the hackathon, I put together an app called Data Market. Now, some of you might be familiar with like existing data marketplaces, data exchanges where you can share and purchase data with other parties. Now, the problem I have with this is that this platform is very centralized, and you more or less have to either agree to a long-term agreement where you're paying pretty much regardless of your usage amount, or you're sharing your data with this party who, you may not necessarily know what they're doing with it. And I figured there was potentially a lighter weight way that didn't require the overhead of like having an entire staff of engineers mediate and control a marketplace, to use the FEVM to create a self-governing exchange, to enable anyone, not with an email or a username, but anyone with a Filecoin Wallaby wallet to create their own sales pages for data and share it with other people out there in the world, and enable people almost like a Shopify of sorts to sell and purchase data in a community managed way. And let me show you how that works. So the first step is actually to connect the wallet. So I have a simple connection here with Wallet Connect, already set up with Wallaby. Hopefully that works, all set. And once you're connected, you're more or less able to authorize a transaction to create your first data listing. And I have some example values here, but this could be just about anything that you want to sell related to data on the Filecoin network. So let's just say I had a Boston phone number data set with 500 rows of names and phones that someone might want to sell in the marketing world. I hate this. I don't know if other people hate when people sell your cell phone numbers, but there is a market for being able to commercialize data, not just for this, but for training sets and AI as well. So let me show that example. So in this case, I have just a simple phone number CSV, but this could be any data, any labeled data that I want to sell. The way that works is you create the data market request, and there's 2 steps that happen behind the scenes. First, the data set gets uploaded and registered with IPFS Filecoin. And then the second action here, which admittedly might take a little bit of time because it is on the testnet, is actually deploying a contract to represent the actual hosted page that you will share, that you could share with other users out there in the world. So it uploads the data, creates a CID for that. It deploys a smart contract, which contains logic for both accepting payments and doing escrow for people that purchase your contract. And actually, there's a mechanism as well. If people go to your page and start flagging it as being an illegitimate data set, the contract won't release funds to the owner of that page unless they get 3 successful sales. And then once the 3rd sale goes through and there's no additional flags, you'll continue to get paid for the data set that you uploaded when people come to that page. So I have an example one already here, but let's see if that one confirms. So when that confirms, you'll get taken to a success screen just like this. View files, view created contract, and view listing page. We have a simple contract that gets deployed to Wallaby. And we have a data set available for purchase. Yes. So that gets refreshed with the contract. So every contract creates its own listing page, and this data gets pulled from the contract and hydrates a view here. So as a user, I can actually do 2 things. I can either flag the listing, so I can say, this data sucks, and then submit a transaction to more or less that smart contract, and it'll increase the flag count. The other action I can do is, if I want to buy it, go ahead and agree to those terms and pay the 0.01 TFIL and buy that data set. So when I buy that, purchase gets registered, I can access the data set contents, or I can view the transaction on the Explorer as it's happening. So this is still pending, but now I have access to the data. And so in essence, this data set is open. So folks right now could, in theory, guess this CID. So this is something that would need to be resolved about how do you secure data sets. But I don't know if people are out there just guessing GUIDs all day. Maybe they are, maybe they're in programs, but This is more or less, you would not find this URL unless it was shared with you. And then you could see that phone CSV file and be able to access it on your machine. Lastly, for every contract that gets deployed, you can actually come back to the app and look up history against that contract. So I just bought it, and you can see here I did 1,000, or sorry, just a large number of, I think this is 10 to the 18 of, or the TFIL purchase from this translated address to the other address. And yeah, I mean, once you get three purchases, you're all set. As for the code, it's on my GitHub. I encourage you to check it out, but that's pretty much the data market project. And thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's really cool. And looks like another primitive that we got to work on is access control lists. So that just kind of unlocks a lot more things. Maybe there's a Solidity contract here waiting to be written, and then also FEM to be proved with a lot of these built-ins. Cool. Thank you so much. And with that, we are ready for our fourth demo. And for that, I want to welcome Ryan to talk about zk-sig.
Hello, thank you. Let me share my screen here. All right, so we built a platform to create NFTs out of digitally signed, legally binding agreements. All the information for these agreements are stored either on chain or on IPFS and Filecoin. I can walk you through how you go about creating an agreement. You fill out a quick form, give the agreement a name like a services agreement. We decided to create an NFT out of this agreement as well. Upload a PDF. And then from here, you can add signers, people who will sign the agreement. Have a provider and a client. And then you can drag these signatures to where the person would sign the PDF. And then create the agreement. When this agreement's created, the PDF itself is encrypted and stored, pinned to IPFS, and also stored on Filecoin. And some audit trail logs are added to FEVM as well. From there, we can see I already created an agreement a little bit earlier. This is what an agreement looks like. This has two signers. We're waiting for both of them to sign. Since the agreement is encrypted, you have to press this button and interact with your wallet a little bit to decrypt the agreement PDF, which shows up here. And you can copy a link. This link is something that you can send to the person that you want to sign the agreement. The link has this kind of long password looking thing in the URL. That's what allows it to decrypt the agreement over here. When this person chooses to sign the agreement, it's going to re-encrypt this agreement for this signer. So they won't have access to the original agreement. It re-encrypts the agreement and stores it so they can decrypt it in the future, and continues to add to that audit trail of the digital signature. Once you sign an agreement, your signature appears under signatures. You can go back and see it. Again, decrypt the agreement to see it. At the same time, behind the scenes, an NFT was created. So an NFT collection was created for each agreement that's created, and each signer gets one of those NFTs. If we look at one of these agreements, we can see an address here. This is the address of the NFT for this particular agreement. On the other side, we also created a few delegated authorization contracts that allow you to block deal proposals or change access control for deal proposals on the storage market based on NFT ownership. So we made a little site and a factory so you can create these things. We have 4 of these delegated authorization contracts, a provider NFT contract, which makes it so a provider has to own an NFT in order to create a deal proposal, a client NFT contract, which makes it so a client has to own an NFT in order to be part of a deal proposal, a common NFT contract, which means both the provider and client have to be part of the same NFT, and an agreement NFT contract, which means that the client and provider have to agree on a digitally signed, legally binding agreement. So any of these you can select. If you drop in that NFT address here and press create contract, it'll deploy that contract. And this address can be used along with the marketplace to ensure the provider, in this case, is the owner of an NFT, a particular NFT. That's pretty much it. That's our whole flow. So NFTs out of digitally signed, legally binding agreements and these delegated authorization contracts. We think there's a bunch of use cases for this sort of thing. For example, membership to a data DAO based on NFT. So you have an NFT, which gives you membership to a data DAO. And then you can only make deal proposals if you're part of this data DAO. Things like requiring KYC to be part of some marketplace in order to store data, and requiring service agreements. So if you're a provider, you might require your client to sign a service agreement before taking on storage. That's it. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. That was really cool. And yeah, it looks like it just works really nicely with all the other demos we just saw. So this is great. All right, next up is our fifth demo for today, and that is Catalog DAO. So Daniel and Woolman, welcome.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
20% my screen.
Sweet. So we can get started. So we are Team Catalog DAO, Willman and Daniel. So let's start with the problem we're trying to solve. Nature-based carbon projects, and by this you can imagine a reforestation project hoping to verify how much carbon it stores and issue carbon credits, lack efficiency, transparency, and integrity. That's why they rely on centralized verification standards like Vera. The MVR platforms, and that means digital measurement, reporting, and verification platforms, can help. However, these are also centralized entities, and perhaps more importantly, the MVR platforms demand lots of resources, particularly data and computing. So you can go to the next slide. So what's our hypothesis? We want to create a DMRV data DAO. We call it Catalog DAO. We visualize a DAO that enables project developers and their communities to procure, store, analyze, and self-govern their data in an incentivized DMRV platform. So how would it work? So for this version, we think that members or potential members pledge their funds in exchange for a fractionalized NFT. The NFT is actually a georeference NFT with coordinates and an ecological state variable, and it represents a reforestation project. Once the project has been verified and issued carbon credits, we assume that those credits can be streamed back to a DAO using a project like Superfluid. The CO2 equivalent tokens are basically the DAO revenue, and it's what we use to incentivize all the DAO activities and work. Anyone can provide data, which is voted in and curated by the members of the DAO. This data gets stored using FEVM. For this hackathon, we create a simple DAO contract that lets the DAO decide on what data gets stored, complete with storage deals and storage deals verification. Data from off-chain sources like satellite data, LiDAR, and other types of sensors will be ported using Chainlink, a Chainlink oracle, and stored in NFT storage. CO2 equivalent tokens can be used to fund storage and data inputs. Then the DAO can incentivize scientists and researchers to leverage the data and submit computing jobs. We use Project Bacalao for this. Computing jobs and data produced by those jobs can also be stored and funded by the DAO. Finally, we think that a solution like this can reduce the cost of verification and monitoring for carbon projects, and truly create a platform that empowers and supports local development projects. So with that, I will pass it to Will for a demo.
For this weekend, we focus on building the data DAO. So we're going to go through the steps of the data DAO. So first, we're going to submit a transaction to the DAO, and this is the CID that I, as a member of the DAO, want to submit, and this is the site of the CID that I'm going to need. So we're going to go through all the process of the voting mechanism of the DAO. Then we're going to simulate being the storage provider. When the deal is out there, and storage provider will take the deal and accept it, and then we will verify that the CID is indeed stored by a certain provider. So we have I have deployed this the contracts, that is basically the catalog contract and the market API, just to do some demos here. I deployed it into a local network in order for it to be faster. So the first thing that we're going to do is this DAO right now, it just has 2 members and only requires one approbation in order to submit the transaction. So the first thing that we're going to do is submit the transaction, and we're going to pass it the CID that we want to store, and the size of the CID. Now we have the transaction here. We can get some info about the transaction. Passing here, it's going to be transaction number 0. That here's the CID that we want to store. The size. It was executed. It's not executed yet, and the number of confirmation. So right now, if I try to execute transaction number 0, I won't be able to do it because I need first the DAO first need to confirm that wants to store the CID. So a member of the DAO comes here and say, okay, I vote for this transaction 0 to be stored. So with that, we have now one confirmation, and we're good to execute this transaction. So it's executed. It goes down. So right now, when the transaction is executed, this deal is out there waiting for storage provider to accept it. So now we're going to simulate being the storage provider with the market API.sol, and we're going to call the publish storage deal. So the market API is going to need a data structure called CBOR that basically is a kind of a compressed deal that has all the information of the deal, the provider, how long it's going to store it. And so we're going to copy this one and this here. And the Kali is going to be the client, that in this case is going to be the DAO. So let's copy the address of the DAO. Pass it here. Okay, so right now there's going to be a storage provider storing the CID that the DAO wanted, and we can verify it here in the CID providers of the DAO. We have to pass the CID that we wanted originally to store, and the provider that is storing it right now. And we get a value of true, and that means that our CID is storing it for the time that this data structure, the CBOR data structure, was encoded here. So with that, that's all for the demo of the data DAO that we built in this weekend. So hope you like it, and that's all from me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for doing that amazing demo and getting so far. Let's hope you get to kind of continue building this and we get to all use it in the future. All right, next up, we have SoulShare Wallet. Federica, whenever you're ready.
Hello, I made a video for the presentation because my English is not very good. I share. Hello, everyone. We are the SoulShare team. My name is Federico Lotterstein. I'm a full stack developer, and this is Gloria, my community dog friend. Are your tokens safe? No. This solution will provide you with two-factor authentication on the blockchain and security to share your wallet with your hackathon team, work, or friends. What we build. We are the #1 wallet that allows you to configure two-factor authentication with two different wallets, increasing the security of your transaction and protecting your asset for possible attack. How it works? We create a multi-sig wallet that increases the security of your asset. This connects with two different wallets, for example, one on the cell phone and one on the computer, working as a double authentication factor, since for any transaction, I will need the approval of both devices. In other words, in the event that our cell phone is stolen and they want to access our wallet, they will not be able to steal the funds. Another use case is, for example, in a hackathon, where an always is received, each member registers their wallet, and when withdrawing the funds, they will need the approval of the team to carry out the transaction. The main features we develop are two-factor authentication, connect two wallets for great security, wallet for hackathons, everyone on the team must approve their price transaction, manage those companies, delegate can handle asset as long as they get the signatures. Okay, people, let's go to the live demo. We are already in the app. The first thing we are going to do is send some money to the address of the contract. You can already see that the funds have entered. Then I'm going to connect to the wallet of owner one, and I'm going to create a transaction to send money to another address. You can see that the status of wallet 2 is pending. Now I'm going to connect to wallet 2, and I'm going to approve the transaction. Finally, you can see that the funds already in the wallet that we sent. In the future, we will be working on the first functional beta version that will allow adding more than two signatures, the option to create multiple wallets from the app, and also apply to the FEVM bootcamp to continue learning and be ready to launch our app into production. Thanks very much to all. You can now scan the QR code to try the app or enter to the link on the screen. Have a great day.
Awesome. That was really cool. And yeah, this is such a really cool utility to understand what's going on. And there's also a lot of testnet Filecoin. So that's amazing. Well, thank you so much. And I guess you get to try it out. For those of you who missed the QR code, you can just rewind that video on YouTube and on this live stream and scan that and pause it again. All right, 3 more demos to go. So our third last demo is SpinDAO. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. So we are a team of 5 across 3 time zones, and we would like to welcome you to SpinDAO. John, could you switch to the deck, please? Yeah, so what's SpinDAO? Going back to the first page. Yeah, so spend stands for spending. We have created a data DAO that empowers consumers to turn their credit card transaction data into assets and have true ownership over their data. Next, our spending data reveal a lot about our behaviors. Combined together, they actually tell even more powerful stories about the economy. For instance, is there a spike in Netflix subscriptions, or is there a dip in spending at hardware stores? So among all the categories of alternative data, credit card transaction data has so far generated the largest amount of revenue. And globally, the market size for alternative data is anticipated to reach $143 billion by 2030. So this is a huge market, and it evidenced by news we have seen in the media. For instance, we have known that, well, it's almost open secret that, well, hedge fund managers have spent billions of dollars in acquiring this kind of consumer data with the hope of getting better or more accurate forecast of stock returns. And years ago, Google spent millions of dollars acquiring this kind of consumers aggregated transaction data from MasterCard, trying to link online advertising to store purchases. Now, let's pause for a second and think about, what about data ownership? Next, John. So we as consumers have little control over how our data, in particular credit card transaction data, could be used. Our credit card transaction data alone fuels a multi-billion-dollar industry, but on the other hand, we as consumers have received almost no tangible financial rewards. In practice, though, the value of data from a single person is of little value, and there is no marketplace or platforms where consumers could coordinate and pull their data together. Next. And this is exactly why we have created SpendDAO. For this hackathon, we have the first product we have released is a DApp that's built on the FEV chain that facilitates the creation and operation of a data DAO. I'm going to hand over to John for a quick product demo.
Sure. Hello. So this will be pretty quick, but someone mentioned earlier actually about the SIDs and how we needed to keep them hidden. So we originally wanted to use Lens protocol. That didn't work out. So we went ahead and used Pinata. So this is going to be a really quick demo. So there's two sides to our portal. You can either be a user or an admin. The users are the people selling the data, and the admins are the people paying you for the data. So let's go ahead and sign in. All right, and so this is where you would upload your data. For now, we just have a standard test CSV. And then once that data is gone, it's uploaded to a private cloud in IPFS, and then we get that SID back. We can go ahead and mint the token. And for the sake of time, I have one in my wallet already. It should take a second to load. There it is. So what's cool about this is it's almost like you're leasing your data. So let's say I don't want to give my data out anymore. I can just go ahead and burn it. And it'll be gone. So let's say I'm an admin, I want to purchase data. What's cool about this is you have to have a special admin NFT to actually access this portal. So when I go ahead and sign in, it'll check my wallet to make sure that I actually have it. Then it'll go through and it'll pull all the data. It's really messy right now, ignore that. This is what it would look like if it was nice and clean. So you could go through, select the data you want, and you could decrypt it, and then you could take a look at it. And then when you're done with it, you just give it back. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, back to the Google slide, please. Yeah, thank you, John. So to conclude the product demo, here are two mock-ups of screenshots. So the first one is a dashboard for end users / DAO members. So any existing DAO member could reconnect to the DApp, and they will see the balance of Filecoins that they receive from the DAO treasury as rewards for contributing to this data economy. And there's this red button here. It's so this one is this is a burning mechanism that allows DAO members to burn their soulbound token and exit from the DAO. So this is to comply with data privacy regulations such as GDPR, allowing users, giving users the right to be forgotten. And the second screenshot is just a mock-up of shows what kind of analytics we could create from the data, aggregated data. For instance, for this one, we have realizations of monthly spending by category, and then we could easily see some trends here. Next slide. So we're really proud of what we have built over 48 hours. And beyond the hackathon, this is what we have in mind for product roadmap. So the first will be secure proof of personhood to mitigate the risk of cyber attacks. And in terms of encryption, we considered lead protocol or Medusa. So those two solutions are not available on FEM yet, but once they're available, we plan to implement them and to replace the Pineda submarine mechanism with those SDKs, and to have better governance, on-chain governance for the DAO. We plan to first deploy Genosis Safe on FEM so that we can store the admin NFT security in a multi-sig and to enforce majority signatures for decryption. And we're also going to fork and build out voting contracts on FEM, and also to make this data economy that all the DAO members share. We want to make sure that the metadata tied to the soulbound token is upgradable. DAO members could come back and upgrade or refresh the data that they want to contribute to the organization. And also, for sure, confidential computing it can be very valuable. And next. So we also consider multiple revenue streams and business models. The ultimate goal is to grow the DAO treasury so that we can continue redistribute the revenue among data contributors. For instance, DAO members could come together, form sub-DAOs as investment clubs. So just imagine all the degens on Reddit, on the Wall Street Bets forum on Reddit coming together and joining SpendDAO. Imagine what's going to happen with that. And also core contributors of the DAO could work together in creating analytics reports and services that they could monetize from. And also we can create time-based NFTs and subscriptions that generate recurring revenue for the DAO. So this is the end of our presentation. We're really excited about our vision and our product, and we invite you to join this movement and this ecosystem that unlocks the value of your data. Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was a really cool demo. And yeah, such a well thought out sort of plan on just making that even more integrated with existing ways that data works. This is great. All right, 2 more demos to go. Next up is Cred Lancer. We're going to get the team up just in a second. And whenever they're ready, feel free to get started. There we go.
Yes, we're ready. Let me share my screen. Okay. Hello, everyone. We are Cred Lancer, credential freelancer protocol, trustless onboarding, credentialing, and payout for scaling organization. Of course, for example, DAOs. And we can have to create privacy forward on-chain credentialing for the freelancers. And for example, for the freelancers, we can have to the on-chain verified credentials, maintaining identify privacy, and updating in what credential and budgets are displayed in profile, and of course access to work, and with a smart contract payout. And if you're an organization, you can get an on-chain verified credential and trusted verification of partners, budget or organization members, and streamlining onboarding and training. Of course, access to lancers and smart contracts payout. It's your platform. You can connect, of your course, with MetaMask, create your portfolio, and you can check your different prices and your score. Please continue, Julio. Hello?
Yes, actually, Alexander going to play the main smart contract. Alexander, please.
Oh, okay. Let me do that. I hope you guys can see my screen now. Can you guys see my screen?
Personally, we cannot. I don't think the screen share is happening, so we want to give that a shot one more time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So I'll just explain the contract because my remix is fucking up right now. So we have 3 contracts basically. One was the SBT token, which each DAO member holds. That will be the organization itself and the freelancers. And then we have another contract for the Geeks Marketplace, where the organization can list the jobs or the gigs that is available. And then the next contract is for the freelancers to apply for gigs themselves. So basically, the SBT token is basically a soulbound token which each DAO member holds, and then that serves as a badge for the freelancers themselves. So each time they complete a task, the organization gives them a badge which they can effectively burn. And then we have the second contract, which is the Geeks Marketplace contract. Basically, this contract just gives you the opportunity to set the price of the gigs, and then users can then apply. I mean, the freelancers can then apply for the gigs using basic gig proposal, which is just a vote and apply. So basically, that's all for me. I'm sorry I couldn't show you how to compile it on my remix because it's fucking up. But that's basically it. Julie, I think you can take it from here.
Thank you so much, Alexander. Yes, Gary explained the idea of the contract. I got to explain more about the architecture. And in these 2 days, we learning a lot about the tool what we learning, and we see on the chat. The first thing what we do, we was working in what is the FEVM Red Hat kit. No, as you can see, we use compile. No, use tested here. We can see this tool help us a lot because with using this tool, we can have the AV, the most important part for the front end part. No, we need that one, the contract number and the deployment and information in order to create the contract part, the front end. You can see in our solution, we have in the contract, we follow the hard hat kit what you guys provide. And after that, we jump into do the UI. In the UI, we using the library what we heard in the chat to use yesterday about the rainbow kit. No, very nice chat, and where we try to implement that one in the way to use Wallaby. No, here we can see the configuration for the library. Usually that one is, you can see here. We used to run the application. There, that was the remix because we compiling on this 2 days. We compiling in remix and used the hard hat because was a little challenging trying to figure out how work the system. But from the chat, we figure out we're reading every communication with everybody. And here we have the application. This is the implemented of the connection using Wallaby network. If you can see, we can disconnect here. We can change the network, and the system going to detect that one. her. And we can go back, no? This is a work in progress, and too much things happen, too much learning in 2 days. We hoping we can keep going with this project. Thank you so much. That's everything for me.
Thank you. No worries. I know this live demos are always a little bit tricky, and it wouldn't be a live demo without Murphy's Law kicking in at some point. So thanks for still kind of explaining kind of what you did, and hopefully we get to try this out soon directly on an actual kind of full website with the demo. So thank you so much. And with that, we are ready for our last finalist demo for the day. Without further ado, let's welcome KK for demoing Phil Peggy. Feel free to get started.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Wait. Wait a moment.
Just,
but brother is sorry. Okay.
We'll just exit the live stream. We'll give you a second to figure this out, and then whenever you are ready and things are back, feel free to start the screen share again.
Okay, it's ready. Okay. Okay.
Perfect. So we can see you. Let's try the screen share.
Okay. So I can start?
I don't think you're sharing your screen. Let's you gotta share it again.
Okay.
Perfect. There you go. Yep. We can see this. Feel free to get started. We can see it.
Okay. Here's the file Peggy, and firstly, I'm a miner, and Peggy want to solve a problem. When you want to be a Filecoin miner, firstly you need an account, and you use the account to create a miner. Then you hold the account private key. But there's a problem. How will you do when you lost your own private key? Then the collateral in the miner and your reward in the miner will be lost. And if somebody stolen your own key, then your miner will be only can be destroyed. You can do nothing. And the second problem is that sometimes you will run a miner with some of your friends, but you are friends, but you are not the best friend, and you may not trust each other. So at that time, maybe you can use some multi-sig account to manage the miner, but there's still a problem. When someone in your group, some of the partner has a better relationship, and they may be union to do evil, and actually you can't trust each other. Okay, and the third problem is that when you run a miner and you need more fail for collateral, but you can't. The only way you can get the fail is to buy from the exchange. But somebody hold the fail, but don't have the technical to run a miner, and they want to find somebody to run mine for them. But these two people cannot trust each other too. So they can't cooperate. So what's the solution? With the FEVM provides user-defined program with Filecoin. So when we run a miner, we can use the smart contract as well as smart contract as the owner of the miner. We can implement all of the ability of them to manage miner with the smart contract. Okay. At that time, you won't worry about the loss your private key. And if you want to cooperate with some of your friends, you don't need to trust each other. You just need to trust the code in the smart contract. And all of you can review the process in the smart contract. Okay. After that, you can cooperate each other very well. Okay. And in this process, we have some different roles. One is the miner node operator, one is token holder, and the miner node. And we develop a native smart contract which can manage your miner node very well. And in the native smart contract, which developed with FEVM, you will implement all of the workflow inside the smart contract. For example, when you use the smart contract to manage your miner, the user can deposit to the smart contract. Then the smart contract transfers the funds to the miner for collateral. When the miner gets the reward just go to the smart contract, and the smart contract just distribute the reward to the deposit account. Then nobody can stealing the other's money here. Okay. So that's what we want to do in Filecoin. Filecoin will provide a series of tools to manage the miner and let the people who want to invest the miner through the smart contract directly. But actually, what we do at this weekend, we do not finish everything. We just do some beginning. Okay, so we just to do some demo. Here's the Filecoin. Filecoin actually is a playground. Filecoin will provide a host playground and a smart contract. Actually, when we want to manage a miner, we have so many functionality to implement. We cannot implement such functionality with the smart contract. If we implement like that, we will need more gas because we will implement so complicated functionality inside the smart contract. Okay, so we just make a host playground in which we will do the complicated work, and we also implement the on-chain functionality inside the smart contract. So we combine these two, and we just release to tune a series of tools to the user. User can just clone our Filecoin and to deploy, create their actor, then to manage their miner. Okay. So let's do something. So the demo is the very beginning part of the Filecoin playground, because actually what I finished at this weekend is just the signature part to create wallet and try to create a miner. But actually, I still not finished to create a miner. The time schedule is a bit tight. Okay. So here we have three actions. The action, you can create a wallet, you can create a miner, and you also can do something to your actor. Actor here means smart contract. So actually for the actor, we can compile, we can deploy, we can create, and after that, we can take owner to the smart contract. Okay, so firstly, we just need to create a wallet. 1, 2, BOS, and it means different signature of the account. Then we get a wallet, get an account. Then we need to create a miner. Okay, create a miner. Here we will need the owner account. Also, we need a key for, actually this is a private key of the owner. Okay. We also need to set a work address too. And after that, we need to select the reduce PLST proof type for your miner. I will deploy this part code to my local testnet. So I just need to select 2K. Okay. After that, you can say we select the 2K as a reduce PLST proof type. Then we need a RPC endpoint. Okay, we need a bad token. Okay, actually we fail, but schedule is tight and I don't finish everything. So, with fail Peggy playground, actually you can manage your miner with the smart contract. Of course, the smart contract is based on FEVM, and he use the ability provided by the FEVM, like storage power actor, account actor, miner actor, to create a miner and manage them. And when user want to manage a miner, just invoke the smart contract method, which is exposed to publicly. And when user want to invest in miner, just want deposit to the smart contract, then just wait for the reward to his deposit account. Even the creator of the miner cannot modify the beneficiary or distribution of the reward in the miner. Okay, and after that, the amount of the user take part in the smart contract could be minted to be an NFT, and an NFT could be transferred to another user. Then another user can take the beneficiary from the miner's reward. Okay, thank you. That's my demo. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I know there was a lot of things that I know you were still trying to make work in given the short time, but the last two projects are
I'm really sorry with my poor English speaker.
Oh, you did great, and this is an early sneak peek on DeFi on FEVM. This is just really exciting. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's really a new lending model to connect the token holder and the Filecoin miner, and to let the token holder to get a reward from the Filecoin miner with the miner's future reward. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, congrats, and thank you so much for being our last demo of the day.
Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
All right. With that, we are ready to move on to the stuff that I know all of you have been waiting for. So those are our 9 demos. I want to give a big round of applause to Soulmates, Koyo's Data Market, ZK-SIG, Catalog DAO, SoulShare Wallets, PenDAO, CredLancer, and Phil Peggy. Congratulations to all these teams. And for those who are joining us now, you can just catch up with all these projects. Those were just 9 demos that we saw, but there's 117 in total, all available now on ethglobal.com/showcase. You can filter by this event and see everything that came out of it. All right, so I know the last final 5 minutes of everybody that is preventing you from falling asleep. Let's go into the prizes. Over $35,000 of prizes are being given away here from the IPFS Filecoin team. So let's go right into this. Without further ado, here are our amazing winners. Soulmates wins the grand prize for the best use of FEVM deployment. And then we have 2 runner-ups, Spenzao and Koyos, that are going to be receiving $3,000 each for the grand prize of the best FEM deployment. I know there's 10 more prizes for the pool category. There's 10 teams winning $500 each, but it was not that easy to review 117 projects in 2.5 hours. So the Protocol Labs team will be reviewing all of that later today and early tomorrow, and we'll be announcing those 10 runner-up winners on Discord and on our Twitter in the next 24 hours. So stay patient on that, but we have all the other grand prize and category prize winners. On top of that, the best use of FEVM to enable lending in DeFi goes to Polateral and Miner Dealer. Congratulations to both of these teams. And then data DAOs are super exciting. So we have PODP, Catalog DAO, and Ancestry all as our 3 recipients for the best data DAO project, receiving $3,000 each. Congratulations. And the best use of FEVM to build building blocks such as DEXs, AMMs, or more goes to FNS, which is the Filecoin naming system. This is early signs of being able to now get your username finally on this network. So congratulations to all those winners. 10 more projects are going to be announced soon. So please stay patient. They'll all be on the Discord. And if you refresh now your own project page, you will see which prizes you've won. And the 10 prizes will also be reflected on your own dashboard in the project page on ETH Global Showcase immediately as soon as we get them in. And then a quick note on prize delivery is that all these things are tentative and not final, which means that we will be verifying that everything was done during the course of the hackathon and not before, and making sure that nobody cheated. And these prizes are distributed by the Protocol Labs team, so you will get a separate email from them and not ETH Global about the next steps on receiving those prizes. And there may be an element for KYC and compliance that will be needed here. So make sure that you read that email carefully, and you'll get all of those prizes delivered to you in the next couple of weeks. So before we wrap this off, I want to say a few thank yous and really kind of make sure that we put a big thank to everybody that made this event possible. I want to start off by all 400 of you that stayed up for the last 48 hours making really, really amazing projects. It's just incredible to see the energy. I know the Discord was like lit up entirely the entire time, no matter when you joined in. So thank you so much to all of you for giving us this weekend and building something that you were excited about. So I want to thank all of our judges, mentors, volunteers, speakers, and partners that stayed with us with the hackers, making sure everything was great. To the judges, talking to everybody for the last 5 hours, getting feedback, giving feedback, and making recommendations on how to improve the projects. This will be not possible without you, and these are amazing things that are being developed at the early stages. So thank you so much to all of our judges, so many mentors and volunteers that ran so much of this event behind the scenes and helped everybody out. So thank you to all of people here. Without you, this would absolutely not be a successful event, and people would be not doing all these amazing polished demos. And to our amazing speakers for being part of talks, workshops, and the summit, and sharing all of your amazing knowledge. And now we all get to watch that on demand and catch up on anything that we missed and we're excited about. And all of our amazing partners from the Protocol Labs team, thank you so much for working with ETH Global to really make this event an incredible success and being the first FEVM hackathon out there and giving people an early access to all these things. And last but not the least, I want to give a special shout out to Chloe, Kevin, Ivan, Kevin K, Kree, Huichi, Minnie, Anna, Moaz, Luke, Emily, Andrew, and Jacob from the ETH Global team, who made sure that everything that you are seeing and experiencing went according to, and if not exceeded, expectations. And without their help and a lot of sleep deprivation, this event would not be possible. So thank you so much. So last thing is our finalists. We saw all the prize winners. We went through 2 separate sets of judging with the partners and the main judging, and we call them finalists because if you've never been to an ETH Global event before, we really want these events to be about experimentation and learning. And we call them finalists because we don't have a notion of first, second, third. Anybody who presented here today officially is a first place winner. And as part of that, all 9 teams are our winners for this hackathon. And for being that finalist and a winner, ETH Global will be giving 700 USDC per member on each of these teams. So congratulations to everybody here who demoed, in addition to all the amazing prizes that all the teams won. But wait, there's more. Not only the amounts in prizes and tokens that you're getting, anybody who submitted a project will be able to redeem this amazing t-shirt, and you'll all get an email, and you'll be able to just put in your email address. And if you submitted a project, and only if you submitted a project, or if you're a speaker or a judge, you will be able to automatically claim this, and we will be able to deliver this anywhere in the world. So watch out for that email on Friday, and hopefully we get to see some of you wearing these shirts in real life. And speaking of that, I want to congratulate everybody here and close off this amazing hackathon. This is officially our last online hackathon for this year. And to wrap things up, this would not be an ETH Global event if we don't talk about what's next. So join us for one last time next week in India, as our final and last hackathon of this year happens in Bangalore for ETH India. If you're going to be there, and if you're here now, I'd love to say hi and meet all of you. And this will be the last event that we do this year. And stay tuned for the 2023 calendar. We're working behind the scenes to announce all the events that we want to do in 2023, and they'll all be available very soon on ethglobal.com. So I want to sign off and thank all of you here. And I hope all of you get some rest, and we'll follow up with all those prizes and the next steps on Discord and email soon. Take care, everybody, and enjoy some lo-fi beats.